There's almost no doubt that you have heard of the sports car brand Lamborghini. With a net worth of almost $11 billion, Lamborghini is not only incredibly financially successful, but the company is also one of the most well-known and well-respected car brands in the industry. But you might be wondering, who created Lamborghini? Don't worry, we have the story of the prisoner of war who started making these spectacular sports cars right here. Before Lamborghini was a household name, the Lamborghini family were simple grape farmers in the rural town of Renazzo in northern Italy. However, Ferruccio Elio Arturo Lamborghini was born on April 28, 1916, and although he learned a great deal about hard work and quality products from his family, it was quite clear to him and everyone else that being a wine farmer was not his destiny. On the farm, Ferruccio worked alongside his family, but instead of being drawn to the management of the farm itself, he was completely engulfed in understanding the mechanics of the tractors. Much to his father's great disappointment, Ferruccio enrolled in the Fratelli Taddea Technical Institute just north of Bologna. And in fact, he never returned to work on the farm again. He learned valuable lessons both in school and at his first job at the Cavaliere Righi factory. And he took his new skill set and returned to Renazzo to open up his first shop at only 18 years old. But it wasn't smooth sailing from there. The young Italian was drafted into the Italian Air Force during World War II and sent to Greece to work as a plane mechanic. During the war, Ferruccio was taken captive by the British Army and was kept as a prisoner of war. Because the British saw his mechanical skills, they used him to fix their army tanks. But luckily for young Lamborghini, they released him only 1 year later. Returning from the war did not lead to immediate success for Ferruccio. In fact, it was an extremely challenging time for him. His wife passed away while giving birth to their only child, and he continued to work in his shop in Renazzo to put food on the table. At this time, Ferruccio was mainly fixing tractors and other farm tools, as well as pre-war vehicles and trucks. And some might say his skills were being wasted. It's important to understand that after World War II, many of the tractors Italy had once used for agriculture were destroyed to provide metal and parts for the military. Therefore, not only was there a lack of tractors around the country, but also agriculture was severely suffering. So Ferruccio decided to right this wrong and used leftover military equipment that he had become comfortable working with to create new tractors for Italian farmers. With British Morris engines, the new tractors could run on cheap diesel and were, therefore, much more affordable than the previous models. As demand grew for Ferruccio's new tractors, he decided to incorporate and started a business called Lamborghini Tractors. By 1951, Lamborghini Tractors was doing incredibly well. However, the company needed more money for production. His father, who by now saw the imminent success of his son's ambition, put up his farm as collateral and got a loan to continue to grow the business. But luckily, things continued to go well for the Lamborghinis, and his father never lost his farm. Over the next 10 years, Lamborghini Tractors had become a wild success and was even the leading manufacturer of tractors throughout the entire country of Italy. With this rise to wealth, Ferruccio began spending his new fortune on luxurious items such as fine wines, delicious foods, and even sports cars, including Maseratis, Jaguars, and Ferraris. However, as a mechanic, he was not really impressed by any of the so-called luxury sports cars. In fact, he was extremely disappointed in the new Ferrari 250 GT and the unreliability of the clutch. When he took apart the car with one of his mechanics, he realized that the clutch was the same as the one he used for some of his tractors. Ferruccio took his complaints directly to the source and told Enzo Ferrari that his clutch was actually only valued at 10 euros, not the 1,000 euros as he was charged. Plus, he told him that the clutch was simply too noisy and rough for a luxury vehicle. Of course, Enzo did not take this criticism well and essentially told Lamborghini that he was nothing but a farmer and tractor driver and had no leg to stand on to insult his incredibly popular cars. Ferruccio famously responded, "Yes, I am a farmer, but I'll show you how a sports car should be." And he got started right away. When Lamborghini first started designing, most people had little to no faith that he would be able to create a beautiful and fully functioning luxury car. In fact, many thought he would waste everything he had made with the success of his tractor company and end up broke. But Ferruccio was smarter than many people gave him credit for. One of the ingenious ideas he had was to hire men who used to work for Ferrari, and he took these workers, bought a brand new factory in Bologna, and started his new company, Automobili Ferruccio Lamborghini. It's important to note that this was not Ferruccio's first time building a car. Before the feud with Enzo Ferrari, Lamborghini used to fix old Fiats, taking them apart and rebuilding them with improved engines. In fact, he even entered one of his creations in a race once, although he proceeded to crash into a restaurant during the race. But although he did know quite a bit about cars and mechanics in general, making a luxury sports car was a whole other undertaking. Much to everyone's surprise, only 9 months after beginning this task, in 1963, Ferruccio released his first creation, the Lamborghini 350 GT. Not only was the car beautiful to look at, it was also quite technologically advanced. It had a V12 engine, 4-wheel disc brakes, with independent suspension, and a 5-speed transmission. It went from 0 to 60 miles per hour in only 6.8 seconds, and was designed to be far more reliable than the Ferrari counterpart. The bottom line, it was a wild success. The Lamborghini 350 GT was revered by critics and drivers alike as sophisticated and easy to operate. Although he had proved his point to Enzo Ferrari, Ferruccio did not stop there. He continued over the 1960s to make more impressive Lamborghini models such as the 400 GT, the Espada, and the Islero. His team also created the world's first supercar, the Miura P400. It was a street racing car that had the first ever rear mid-engine layout, which, as you may know, changed the industry as it eventually became the preferred layout for all high-performance cars. Lamborghini's success continued into the 1970s with the creation of the Jarama, the Arauco, and the Countach. However, while Lamborghini's cars were some of the most beloved and appreciated on the planet, an unforeseen event across the globe changed Ferruccio's personal life in an instant. In 1972, Ferruccio had prepared thousands of tractors as a result of a deal with the government of Bolivia. However, when that government faced a coup, the deal fell apart and Ferruccio was facing financial ruin. He begrudgingly decided to sell the entirety of his tractor business and 51% of the shares in his automobile company. And then things got even worse. A huge surge in gas prices around the world, of course, negatively impacted the sales of both his cars and tractors. Ferruccio Lamborghini decided at this time that it was time to get out of the game and sold the rest of the shares to René Lehammer. He did save a small heating company for his only son. However, the young Lamborghini decided to take the now famous name and create a luxury fashion brand instead. Ferruccio Lamborghini lived out his remaining years on a 32-acre estate and vineyard, ironically returning to the life of a grape farmer, just as his parents had wanted all those years ago. Just like everything Ferruccio attempted, his wine was considered extremely high quality and even won several awards throughout Italy. At the estate, there was a small museum dedicated to Ferruccio's favorite cars, and guests could even pay to come visit the private residence. And although he died on February 20th, 1993, no one will soon forget Ferruccio Lamborghini for all he did and the immense changes he made to the automobile industry. But you might be wondering, what happened to Lamborghini automobiles? The new owners, René Lehammer and Georges Henri Rossetti, struggled to keep the company afloat, and within only a few years were forced to liquidate everything. However, the story doesn't stop there. The Italian government capitalized on their misfortune and sold the company to two Frenchmen only a few years later for almost $3 million. These two also ran out of money and eventually sold the company to an American motor company, Chrysler. And by now, it should come as no surprise that they couldn't figure out how to turn a profit either. Chrysler sold the company yet again to a company in Indonesia, who then sold it to German automobile company Audi. By the time Lamborghini Automobiles was purchased by Audi in 1998, it had experienced 5 owners in 20 years, and it was pretty clear that they had their work cut out for them to keep this brand alive. Luckily, Audi proved to be exactly the company that was needed to produce and market Lamborghini quality automobiles. Heading into the 21st century, Lamborghini automobiles were back on the map. Audi released new models such as the Huracan, Gallardo, and the Urus SUV, and people loved them. Residents of the USA started purchasing Lamborghinis as fast as they could get their hands on them, even though they cost somewhere between $73,400 and $92,840. Over the next 2 decades, Lamborghini continued to thrive, and the company is now worth almost $11 billion. And even more than the financial success, Lamborghini will forever be known as the company that changed the automobile industry forever. The young prisoner and child of wine farmers, Ferruccio Lamborghini, was one of the most innovative and creative men of his generation, and maybe of all time. And we can thank his hard work and modernization of the car for the luxury cars we get to enjoy today.